Hello, my friends. I just got off the fantastic interview that you're about to hear. I can't wait to introduce you to Philippa Odeval, and she is going to share her story. And I just want you to tune into this particularly. She gives such a beautiful, honest depiction of what she went through with her own prolapse journey and some of the layers that she experienced as far as emotional and physical symptoms and emotions and feelings. So please do tune in, and you might hear some of yourself reflected in what she has to say. And I just love how she took her experience, she learned so much from it, and now she's really doing things as far as spreading pelvic floor awareness and activism. So let me just read Philippa's bio before we get into the interview, because we just kind of dive right into talking. So Philippa Odeval is the co-founder of Women's Cycles, a course platform for women's challenges from before puberty to after menopause, and also School Yoga, a platform that integrates yoga into schools and preschools by training the teachers. She is a certified yoga teacher, doula, hypopressives instructor, vaginal steam facilitator, and author of 4 books, such as the bestseller Sago Yoga for Kids. Philippa has been working in the intersection of health and wellness, kids' mental well-being, and women's empowerment for the last 10 plus years. Her favorite quote is, "There is nothing stronger than a broken woman who has rebuilt herself." Ooh, I love that quote too. Oh, it's just gives me shivers. So check the show notes if you want more information about anything we talk about, and please enjoy our conversation. All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome, Philippa. I'm practicing with saying your name. Philippa is in Sweden, and I know that I've already stated a little intro to her and her work and what she does. But Philippa, I'm so excited to have you here. Can you just say hi to everyone and introduce yourself?
Well, thank you so much. I'm so happy and excited to be here. And yes, hello, everybody. We're going to have a great conversation here today.
Yes, absolutely. And I want to talk about, this conversation today is really about pelvic floor awareness and also kind of activism too. I think that's an element of what we're going to talk about, and really sharing your story, Philippa, about what you went through. And I want to actually start with that. What was the biggest challenge on your own personal journey as far as the birth process, birth trauma, and then the care you received afterwards? Let's start off and talk about you and your story.
Yes. So I gave birth to my first son 4.5 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And after the birth, I felt something was wrong. So I went back to the healthcare system, meeting lots of different midwives and doctors, and all of them were just like, "No, this looks good. You go home, do some Kegels." But I felt even a year after, I was like, this is not good. I'm a yoga teacher, and air was sucked in when I was, into the vagina when I was doing yoga. So it was really uncomfortable for me, and also very limiting, because when I was, a teacher, I don't want to do that in a class, because everybody knows what sounds come out if you have had air inside. So a year after, I finally came to a doctor who did an ultrasound in the pelvic floor, and she was like, "Okay, yeah, you have some scarred muscles, or like broken muscles." So that was like, it was good for me. It felt good that she saw something was wrong. It was like a confirmation, but also at the same time, she was like, "Okay, you can come back once you've had all the kids you want to have, and then we can see what we can do for you." And that was so limiting and very pacifying, I realized now, because I was like, okay, I can't do anything about this. So I went on for 3 more years until I gave birth to my second son, which everything went well. Both births were quite smooth, I would say. But after the second birth, 3 months after, I had a prolapse, or symptomatic prolapse, because I had a very small one after the first one, but I couldn't feel that at all. So, and then I was devastated. The evening that I was, seeing my prolapse, or I was like, something is in my panties. This is so weird. What's this? So I took a mirror and I had a look, and I was shocked. I was kind of traumatized by that, by seeing my vagina, because I don't know why, but I was shaking for like hours. I was just shaking and crying. I was like, I'm gonna fall apart completely. It was maybe more of a mental challenge, actually, than, a physical one, because I didn't have any pain. I didn't have any leakage. I didn't have any other symptom.
Really quickly, when remind me, when was this after the birth of your second? How long?
3 months after.
3 months after. Sorry. Okay.
Yeah. So that was a little over a year ago. And then I decided to, I was just looking into the healthcare system options, but I already felt limited by the healthcare systems from before. They were like, you can wear a pessary, or you can do a surgery. That's what they said, kind of. And I was even more depressed. And then I started to search on Dr. Google. So, and that was also really hard, especially because I started to search in Swedish and nothing came. I mean, I was breastfeeding in the night. I was so tired. I was depressed. I didn't really have my brain. But then one day I realized, I can do a search in English. And as soon as I started to search in English, I got more results. And finally, I started to find women. And you were one of the first ones I found who talked about having had a prolapse and then healed naturally. And for me, it was such a shift. It was like going from depressed to feeling hope and feeling meaning again. It was so inspirational to see women and, talking about prolapse, firstly, because no one talks about it. People are starting to talk about it now more, but it's very hard to find, stories. And that's what I think is necessary. You don't really want to come to this expert who gives you this advice and then you go home and still feel lonely. You want to have this connection. You want to feel like a human being, like you're sharing this journey with others. So then I started to try different methods, and I've been trying so many methods. Oh my gosh, like this year has been full of methods, which has been really fun, but also super challenging because healing is not linear. I wish it would have just been like the prolapse is better and better and gone. But for me, it's been many ups and downs, and some methods didn't really work. It was like the prolapse was more symptomatic after, and then some methods my body responds to so quickly. So it's been a journey, but I'm happy for it now, even though it's still challenging some days. The days where it's really challenging and I feel heavy are less and less, but I'm still very humble for this journey I'm on.
Well, yeah, I mean, you've learned so much. And I have so many questions for you. A part of the thing is you've learned so much and you were so inspired by this that you and your husband co-founded a new venture together. And I want to talk about Women's Cycles, which is all about awareness and activism and helping provide a place where women can just have these resources that you had to search for. Like you had to hand pick all of these good resources out. But before we get to that, I'd love to know some of the most helpful things, the most helpful things that you've found for your own healing, realizing that everybody is completely different, and realizing that this is not a specific endorsement for any particular style of treatment or something like that. But I'm just curious, what's really worked for you, knowing that everyone is different?
Yes. So I would say there are two parts, if because I don't think I will have the time to mention all the
Yeah.
methods, but I divide them into two parts. So one is more mental and one is physical.
Mm-hmm.
So if I just start with when I could have some days I could almost have like panic attacks, because when I was standing up and walking, it was, the prolapse was chafing,
Mm-hmm.
and it felt, I was so, like that tampon falling out feeling.
Mm-hmm.
I was so disturbed by this. I mean, it was like a panic in my chest.
Mm-hmm.
And the feeling of like, this is how my life is going to be now. I was like, can I be in a wheelchair? Can I like crawl instead of walking for the rest of my life? I knew those weren't options and I didn't want that. But for that, when I had that type of panic, the best thing for me was to process emotions.
Mm-hmm.
And I am very lucky, because my mother, she has been doing a lot of work with Byron Katie.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know of her?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So she's very good in doing that method. So that's about shifting. So if you believe a thought like, I'm always going to have this prolapse, you take that sentence and you kind of turn it around in different ways. My mother asked me lots of questions, and then finally in the end, maybe 30 to 45 minutes, I was laughing at the situation instead of feeling this panic. So I think
important. And can I ask you, Philippa, is this the one, because I could be wrong, I'm not a student of Byron Katie, although I've read some of her information, and is this the one where basically you would say it to a thought, is this true? Is this really true? Is there something that could be more true? Is that kind of the sequence that you go through? Okay,
yes,
good. That exactly. Is so helpful at like neutralizing that fear. It just helps you, like you said, almost be laughing at the end and just sort of normalizing and neutralizing and just rising above that fear spiral state that you can get into.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I mean, even if you don't have like panic attacks like I had, even if you just feel kind of depressed, or if you're angry, or handling any kind of emotion that you feel stuck in, it's a really good method. So it's called The Work. And you can download a PDF on our website with all the questions, and you can fill them in yourself. The thing is, it's really good to have a person asking things about what you have written, because that makes your mind expand. That's, at least for me, that was when, I got this bigger perspective, and then suddenly I was going from feeling panicked to laughing.
Mm-hmm. That's amazing. Yeah, perfect. I am a huge proponent of the emotional component of healing, because it's something that can, for many people, this root part of our body. I mean, there's so many sensory nerve endings here, but it affects not only us physiologically, affects our sensations and our feelings, but our mind too. You can't stop thinking about it. In some cases, it kind of takes over your mind and your life. You cannot stop thinking about it. So the emotional piece is huge. So what about some of the physical things that worked well for you?
Yeah, so the first one I found was hypopressives, that I started to, or the first method, it appealed to me a lot, maybe because I'm a yoga teacher, and breathing is a big part of my life in general. So actually, after 3 weeks of hypopressives, the chafing feeling was gone. So that was just amazing. And I had a trainer, I trained with her, and then I decided to become a hypopressives trainer myself. So now I do the same thing with women who are in my situation or where I was.
That's amazing. I know. I think that so many women have benefited from that technique. And I actually included a training with master trainer Trista Zinn in my lift program. So there's sort of a bonus training. I'm not a hyperpressive certified expert, so I don't specifically include it because it's not, I can't do that in my lift program, but I do include a very simple, kind of basic technique in the program as an option. And then I have a bonus training with Trista Zinn where she goes more in depth into exactly how to do it and what to look out for and all of that, because I know that many women have really, really benefited from it. And then if they're interested, they can go on and learn more from somebody like you or from somebody like Trista or, somebody who's certified. So yeah.
Yes.
That's wonderful.
That's great. That's it's a really, really good tool, although it's quite advanced in a way. So you shouldn't just look at a YouTube clip and try it, I think, because there are risks that you create pressure downwards instead of taking away the pressure from the pelvic floor. So that's the only thing to think about.
Well, and that's what I found. I mean, I was doing it incorrectly. To be honest with you, I was putting too much effort into that particular, the one breath that everyone thinks of with that kind of like vacuum abs style breath. I was putting a little too much effort into it. And that's where Trista, she shows me sort of where I was putting too much effort into it. And I was happy to include that in the course because it's like, this is my line of work and I was still kind of doing it incorrectly. So I think it's really, really helpful for people to see how easily you can overdo and actually potentially cause problems.
Yes.
So what have you found? What do you think in general would be some of the most important factors for healing? I mean, we've talked about some of the things that helped you most, but what have you seen for other women? Because I know you're doing a lot of research into this as you have created this amazing new course platform called Women's Cycles.
Yes, definitely. So I would say for natural healing, the foundation for natural healing is to believe in healing. So, and that you are able to heal. Believe in your body's capacity to heal. I mean, it's quite obvious in a way. If you don't think you can heal and you try different things, but you don't think they're going to work, probably they won't. So you need to give yourself kind of that support from the inside, or the mental support, even when it feels really tough. So that, I would say, that's the most important thing for natural healing. And then also remembering that it's not a quick fix. That's really important. There's no silver bullets. So if you go to a doctor, you might get some medicine prescribed, or you have a surgery, or, I mean, that's kind of a quick fixes. But this, I mean, one of the women who I find most inspiration from regarding prolapse, she had a 4-year journey in her healing when she was healing naturally. So I think you really need to see it more as a lifestyle almost, and being curious about yourself and your body and what you need. That's so important, not feeling like a victim, or, why do I have this prolapse or this, whatever you have, but feeling, taking ownership of your body, because in a way we've lost it. When going to the healthcare system, there's some expert sitting there and they give you some advice and you go home and that's the answer that they had. But when you go home, you're on your own, you have all these emotions, thoughts, and the human body and the human being is complex. So I think taking a more holistic approach is necessary if you're going to heal naturally.
I agree. And then taking into account the cycles, which again, your course platform is named Women's Cycles. And you alluded to it at the beginning, that just the fact that there are ups and downs, even on a healing journey, a natural healing journey, you will notice these highs and lows. And that's actually completely normal because our bodies are cyclical. And just coming at it with a really open mind and kind of realizing, okay, well, what's causing these ups and downs? Maybe I can figure out something that can mitigate the extremes of the ups and downs while also kind of allowing that, okay, this happens. And some things we just can't help. Sometimes the ups and downs usually happen with our menstrual cycle, with our period coming. There can be a lot of times people will have more symptoms or right around when they're going to start their period. They might have more symptoms. So there's really not much we can do to help mitigate that. But you might also tune in and notice that there's ups and downs, highs and lows associated with your digestion and maybe foods that you eat or things like that. And you can start learning how to tune in to those subtle things in your lifestyle that can help you that no healthcare provider would ever be able to tease out. Like this all has to come from you tuning into your own body and what's working and what's not working for you.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
To have that mindset of being curious about who you are and what you need, not like, no, now this again, or no, I have to deal with this now, or just having this, because you will probably need to change things in your life if you want to heal naturally, if you have a symptom or a challenge that you're working on.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So I want to talk a little bit about this course platform that you've created with your husband, and how is it working with your husband on a project like this? Was he totally on board from the beginning? What was that like? And how has it been over the last, year that you've had this idea in your mind?
Yeah, it's been exciting. He was actually the one coming up with the idea after, so 9 months after I had this symptomatic prolapse experience, he asked me, what has been the biggest challenge in your prolapse journey? And I said, it was those few weeks when I felt so lonely. I didn't feel support from anywhere. I was Googling in the middle of the night. I was just in a deep, dark hole. And as soon as I started to find women who had healed naturally, it was such a shift. And since he's a tech guy, he's been building tech companies all his life. So he was like, we should create a platform for this. Mm-hmm. Probably more women are experiencing this. Yeah. And as we've started to do research, it's just crazy how shall I put it? Women are so overlooked within the healthcare system, and there's actually, science on. You can read about how women are treated compared to men within the healthcare system. Mm-hmm. And also, just if you look at the Chinese medicine, they say it's 10 times more complex to treat a woman than a man. And I mean, all research done within the healthcare system today is mostly based on male bodies.
It is. The research is, it is so much. Just a basic study. Even I was looking into collagen peptides, the use of collagen peptides for strengthening your connective tissues and muscle, whether or not they work. Because I was thinking, the supplementation with collagen may be helpful for prolapse. Of course, at this time, at least, there's nothing on prolapse specifically, but most of the studies I found were on, men. They were men that were taking the collagen peptides for muscle building or strengthening, that kind of thing. And I was like, this isn't really helpful.
No.
You can get a general idea, but bodies are so different in general, and male to female bodies are really quite different. So,
yes. And so we really believe in women's cycles that we need to support women more. Mm-hmm. We need to spread more knowledge. And I mean, knowledge, it might be scientific, which is great. It might not be scientific. But maybe it's from, what our ancestors did, like vaginal steaming, for example. That's been around for so many years, but not lately, because there's no science and the healthcare system don't talk about that. So I just think we really need to start to focus more on women's health, because women need it.
So so you and your husband decided to kind of create, almost like I said, this platform of not just help and resources and awareness, but again, activism, to say this is a really big deal. Women need this. They need this community. They need vetted programs that work. And so you put together this platform, and it's available now. Can you tell us briefly about it?
So it's like Netflix for women's health. So the learners, or the ones who want to subscribe, they pay either quarterly or annually, and once they sign up, they get access to all the courses. So we are doing this beta launch, and we have about 10 to 20 courses now, but we're going to build on. We're going to have our goal is thousands of courses, so that, for anything, any small symptom to big symptoms, or a woman should find all the support that she needs on the platform. So you take a course if you wish to, and all the courses are actionable. So we believe you need to take action if you want to heal or improve. And then you can, if you're a mother, you might want to work on, for example, Prolapse. You find a few Prolapse courses, and then you also need to check in with yourself. What's for me? If this course offers some methods that doesn't appeal to me, or the teacher, maybe I don't understand what she's saying, or then you need to continue to search. So it's up to you what you get from the platform. It's not like you need to watch course number 1, 2, 3. You need to look from your own perspective, from your own self, and choose what suits you in the process. And then maybe we're also including courses for kids and adolescents. So maybe your daughter has a lot of urinary UTIs, urinary tract infections.
Got it.
Sorry. Yeah. So maybe you want to take that course to help your daughter. So we're really trying to create this movement from a mother's perspective to daughters, and also building a community, as you were talking about, Bri. So really feeling a connection to other women and helping each other.
And I like that it's
getting
also
more support.
Yeah, and I like that it's also a safe space, because Dr. Google, as you said at the beginning, and I've always said too, it can be either like crickets, as you first were searching in Sweden and you didn't really find so much online, and then when you do find things, sometimes you can go down rabbit holes that aren't so helpful, because they can be very negative and frightening. And you are cultivating this, or curating, I should say, this collection of resources that they're vetted, they're good, they're positive, they're going to help you. And even if something doesn't resonate with you, it's not ever, you would never put something on your platform that's frightening or scary or anything like that.
No.
Yeah.
No.
I love that.
That's a really important part.
Yeah, it's huge, because as you said, mindset and the emotional component is so big. So I have one final question for you, and that's, how can we strengthen, as listeners listening right now, do you have any thoughts on how they and we as a collective can strengthen this movement around women's health even more?
Yeah, I think support each other and start to talk about things that you experience. There are so many things regarding women's health that are taboo, and only we can start to break that. I mean, men will not do that for us or anyone else, but if we start to talk more lightly also about, it's not like my whole identity, if you feel your identity is in your prolapse, for example, you're going to be very limited by that. But if you can start to separate yourself from your prolapse, because that's only a symptom, and that's something that is saying something to you, and you need to listen, and you can work on it, and it can improve. So I think being more true to yourself and maybe to others, if you feel that's your path. I mean, you shouldn't post on Facebook something that you don't want to share, but especially from one woman to another woman, really sharing what is going on.
Yeah, I absolutely agree, and I'm just so glad that we met, and I'm so glad to be a part of the Women's Cycles course platform. I have a course on it, and perhaps more in the
and it's fantastic. We're so happy that you created this course, and it's going to help so many women.
Thank you. Yeah, my course is about the importance of relaxing the pelvic floor first, no matter what condition you have. In general, it's just a good idea to release and relax those muscles as a baseline. And I don't normally make blanket statements, but that's one that I feel comfortable making, that knowing how to let those muscles go is actually really important for everyone. So that course is available now. And I love that your platform's only going to expand. So as we sign off, can you just tell people how to find you? And of course, I'll put links in the podcast notes as well, but just,
Yes. And you haven't got it yet because the recording of this will be slightly earlier than when the listeners are listening, but you will get a code to share also with your listeners.
Oh, good. Great.
So
a little discount.
Yes,
perfect.
Exactly. So womenscycles.com, and you sign up and subscribe. And if there's something that you want us to create that's not there yet, of course, you need help with the symptom, write to us. We want to know what your struggle is, and we can find a creator who creates a course to help you, for sure. Reach out and let us know what you need from us.
Oh, I love it. Well, thank you so much for your time. And everyone, do check the show notes, because there will be a code and ways to, you can find out more. So thank you again so much for your time, and we'll talk to you next time. Bye.
Thank you so much. Bye.